difficulties. So it says I'm live. So welcome. Had a little technical difficulty right there, but I am glad to be here today on Wednesday, October 21st. You can hear it in my voice. I am finishing up a cold. So you may notice that I'll talk a little slower so that I can reduce the coughing. So welcome. Come on in. If you have some friends and family you'd like to share our broadcast with, please do invite them in. Feel free to share our video. We're going to be talking today about home inspections. So as we continue to move forward to learn and understand more about the home buying process, which leads us to the wealth building process, we're going to talk more about some steps that are there. So coming in, don't forget, allow StreamYard to access your Facebook account so that I can see your comments. So if you have a chance, please do, and I'll be able to see the remarks that you make in real time. So please do allow StreamYard to access your Facebook account. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. And this is the first time I made a comment, so let me see how I get this comment off. Yay. All righty. Got it. So welcome again to our Wealth and Wines weekly series. My name is Kersha Porter. I am a real estate associate broker with the Porter Premier Homes team of Cummings and Company Realtors here in the Baltimore metropolitan area. And I work hard to eliminate confusion for buyers by giving them key strategies to unlock resources to purchase their dream home. You can search for your dream home at porterpremierhomes.com. So we always start off our Wealth and Wine series by profiling a featured wine. So as you know, I am a wine ambassador for Boisset. I wanted to show you guys a wine that might meet your needs and fit your palate. So the wine that we are going to feature today is, let's see if I'm going to be able to let you guys go down one. Alrighty. So it's the 2019 Celebration wine. I'm going to get it a little closer to. So what you see on this is some celebrating, some red, white, and blue, some Statue of Liberty. You see a France flag and a U.S. flag. And the two folks that are in this image, they happen to have heads of a French bulldog. So the winery that this particular bottle comes from, it's actually 4 different vineyards in Napa and Sonoma. And Boisset has a number of wineries that we actually produce wine and we sell from. So this one is actually the Frenchy winery, and you all know why that is near and dear to me. Because I have a French bulldog as well. So this particular white wine has a layer of fruit flavors, pineapple, my favorite, mango. So I'm not sure what you have in your glass today, but I do have celebration in mind. As you smell this particular white wine, you may smell some pineapple, some mangoes, even a touch of key lime pie. So if you are a lover of white wine, this might be one you'd like to try. You can find all the wines that we feature on my website, Wealth and Wines with an S, wealthandwines.com. And you might find some things that work well for you. We have red wines, white wines, sparkling wines, all kinds of wines. So as we continue to move forward, this pairs pretty well, as it's noted here, with barbecue chicken salad, any kind of light cheese pasta with a white sauce. So cheers. Let me know what you have in your glass, and I'm going to see if I can see some comments I'm on Facebook, so I'm looking a little left and a little right because I have two other devices that I'm trying to take a look at. Okay. Cheers. So we will get into our topic for today. And our topic for today is 5 tips for home inspections. You probably know that once you have found the home of your dreams, you are able to then move forward to the first critical step. And that step is a home inspection. So, depending on the offer you submitted, you may have in this market somewhere between 7 and 10 days to actually have your home inspection and I want to say again, and give what we call the home inspection notice to the seller. And that is the list of repairs that you may be requesting of the seller. So once you've submitted your offer, it's been accepted, you're excited, you're going to schedule your home inspection. And your home inspection to you is the first step to determine that aside from aesthetically, this house was amazing and it was beautiful, and you know this is the one for you, you're going to take a deep dive into the components of the house, the structural and the mechanical components of the home. Because when you walk through, what you saw were all the aesthetics, things that you could see with your eyes, but we're going to take a deep dive. Now, sellers oftentimes are a little nervous with a home inspection if they didn't have a pre-listing home inspection. Some sellers do have a pre-listing home inspection in which they have a professional home inspector come out, do an inspection on their property, so they have a level of confidence that their home is in tip-top shape. And if there's anything that needs to be addressed, they address it before it hits the market. So if the seller didn't have a pre-listing home inspection, it's for them like getting a physical. It's like going to the doctor and finding out after you have a number of tests what's really wrong. So we're going to talk about 5 tips for your home inspection. So the first tip is you want to make sure that you hire a qualified, experienced home inspector. So you say, well, Gersha, where do I find a qualified, experienced home inspector? Excuse me. You'll say, I've never bought a home before, so I don't know how to find a home inspector. Well, when you work with realtors who've had experience, such as myself, we're able to provide you with a list of home inspectors that our previous clients have had good experiences with. And I'm serious about that. When I started in real estate, I used home inspectors that other realtors may have recommended to me, or the broker in our office may have recommended. And after maybe one time of them inspecting a property for a client of mine and it didn't go very well, their level of communication, their level of comfort, their promptness, their follow-up, the type of report that they gave, if it wasn't satisfactory, I just quickly moved them off of the list. So when you work with a realtor, they should have some home inspectors that their clients have had good experiences with. When you say experience, there aren't home inspectors that are new to the business and they may not be as experienced. So they may not have seen as many issues. I laugh at myself when I go through properties now because I've attended so many home inspections. I know some things that home inspectors will say, and so sometimes I'm able to give my clients a heads up. So you want to make sure you hire a qualified home inspector, somebody who is experienced. And when we have buyers that work with our team, we send them a list of home inspectors as well as the list to all the inspectors who are licensed in the state of Maryland. So our buyers can choose any inspector that they would like. I oftentimes will say as well, check with one of your colleagues, check with a family member or friend who recently purchased a home and see if they enjoyed and had good experience with the inspector that they use. So number one is to make sure that you hire a qualified, experienced home inspector. Number two is to do your own pre-inspection. What do you think I might mean about your own pre-inspection? Just jot it in the chat and take a look and see if I'm able to see some things here and on Facebook. Okay. What do you think may be a pre-inspection for you? Okay. I need to turn that down. Alrighty. So a pre-inspection, even today, can happen online. I work with buyers, and as we're looking at the pictures that are on the multiple lists or in an app that you might be using, you can sometimes see repairs. You can sometimes see water stains. You can sometimes see paint that might be peeling. You can actually see a dripping faucet is what your pre-inspection would be. As you tour through a home, if you see the sink dripping in the kitchen or in the bathroom or the stain from the drip, that is a clue to you that there might be an issue with the faucet, not the plumbing, but the faucet. Checking out the fuse box. So there are breaker boxes in most basements, or if it's in a condo, it's somewhere in that unit. And you want to take a visual of that. You can take a look. We open them all the time. You can get a sense of if it's been upgraded recently, if it has a whole lot of possible um, sockets in them that you could upgrade if you wanted to get something done. You might check on the ages of the appliances. That's a good one. Thank you for that, Amanda. What happens is when you go into the furnace room or wherever the water heater or the furnace may be located, oftentimes there's a tag on there that shows you if the seller has had inspections, BGE may have come by and done an upgrade, any of those types of things. And you can see some dates on there. You might see 2017, 2018, but then you don't see a 2019 and a 2020. So you think to yourself, hey, has anybody taken a look at this furnace in the last year or two? Or how old is the furnace? How old is the water heater? Because those manufacturer dates are oftentimes visible. So yes, you can do your own pre-inspection, and that is number two in terms of a tip for you as you are looking for a home and going through your home inspection. Now, this piece about being neighborly. Some folks might say, well, what do you mean be neighborly? What do you think as you're going through a home inspection, and a tip that you might want to consider as you are going through the process to have a home inspection? You do want to be neighborly. So home inspections are not just inside, they're also outside. So the inspector is going to check the landing, he's going to check the porch, he's going to check the roof, he's going to maybe put a ladder up and actually physically climb up. Depending on the structure of the home, sometimes inspectors will actually crawl out the second floor window where they can then see the roof or be able to reach the roof. So those are all some steps that might be taken as the home inspector is able to get as much information as they can for you. They're taking pictures oftentimes. I have one home inspector that I work with. He actually uses a drone, and the drone will actually take pictures of the roof of the home and give you a really good view of the aerial view of the home. Sometimes if there's a chimney because it may have a fireplace, all of that can be taken using a drone. So there are some inspectors that use that. And thank you so much for mentioning about being, it is a great tip about being neighborly. When you do go, if your homes are a little bit closer to the neighbor, and they're attached, like a townhome is an example, you do want to make sure that the inspector is respectful of the next door neighbor's property and that you are too. Oftentimes they may come out, they may be home, you want to say hi. That is the time when sometimes the buyer actually gets to meet their neighbors during a home inspection. So this is a great time to maybe say hi, get a little bit of extra neighborhood tips while you're there. But be neighborly, you as well as your home inspector. And of course, as a realtor, we're oftentimes there as well, and we can help with that. part as well. So you want to be neighborly during that particular process. Everybody's a little nervous about what's going on and what the final outcome may be, which leads me to tip number 4. Know what to expect and be there. Now, I have had buyers say, well, I can't make it to the home inspection. And it's like, you can't. So, short of being out of town for an emergency, you want to make sure that when you are going through the home buying process, that is the one appointment you need to be able to attend. Most everything else we do today can be done electronically, but the home inspection is going to be something that you want to put your eye on the systems and the structure of the property as the home inspector is walking through the process. And he's not only pointing out what's wrong with the property, he's also pointing out what's right. So he's going to give you tips, especially if you've never owned a home before, you've never had to do kind of maintenance on a property. He's going to point out some things to you that's going to be very, very beneficial as you move into the home. It's also going to be extra helpful when you get that report. You're going to remember, oh, yeah, I remember him pointing this out. What I love about the home inspections today compared to when I started in real estate, 99.5% of them come with pictures. So if there is something that is important, the home inspector is going to take a picture and include it in your report. If there is something that requires attention that might need repair, the home inspector will also have a picture. And that way you don't have to remember where was the crack or which plug was it? Was it in the bedroom? Was it in the living room? They will have it well labeled in the report. They're going to have a picture. And when that report comes over to you, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I remember when they pointed that out to me. So I want you to be expecting a report. It's going to be written. Depending on the inspector, it can be anywhere from 12 pages to 25 pages. Some inspectors have general maintenance information they just want to share with you. Others are going to have information that they're going to give you about the actual condition of the property that you have under contract. They're going to let you know if it's something that's serious and it's a safety issue. They're going to let you know if it's something that's moderate. They're going to let you know if it's something that's just a general maintenance. You might need to change the filter in the furnace, and that just means that it wasn't changed. It's not end of the earth. They may tell you some things that are just good for you to know. That when you annually, you might want to caulk around your tub. There's some things on the exterior. They're going to give you tips about turning off the water at the main in the winter. This is something you want to look prepare to do wherever you may live right now. You don't want to leave the water on because as the weather gets colder, it could freeze in the pipes. So we're kind of finished watering the lawn. You're probably finished washing the car. So if you have a spigot in the front and the back of your home, you want to make sure that you turn off the main on the inside so that you cannot turn those spigots on the outside. So know what to expect. You're going to get a written report. It should also have pictures in them. It is highly recommended that you be there. During this pandemic, we do have home inspectors that will allow one buyer in. Oftentimes, I am not inside the property because we do try to minimize the number of people in the home at one time. So I'm oftentimes outside, and the inspector will allow me to come in when he's finished the inspection and he wants to let the buyer and me kind of know some of the issues that he may have found and that he's bringing to our attention. So number 4 is know what to expect during that home inspection. You usually get your written report sometimes that same evening, but usually by the next day. The report is sent to both you, usually, and your realtor. I always tell my clients, if you get it, send it to me. I'd rather have 2 than none at all. And then you want to be really, as much as possible, please plan to be there. If you can't be there, please have a proxy, somebody that you trust, to be able to be there on your behalf. So somebody asked a question, caulking around the tub. So we have where the tile meets, let me go this way, where the tile meets the tub. You should actually have some silicone caulking around there. It prevents water from going from the shower in the tub into the crack, which then hits the drywall. So that is just a general maintenance tip that if you don't have a seamless tub and shower, that you probably have where the tub ends and where the tile ends, and you want to caulk there. Usually, probably once a year or two. Sometimes you'll see it get a little bit moldy. It means it's time to take it out and put new caulking in. Okay, so that was a really good question. Tip number 5 on our 5 tips for home inspections. Tip number 5 is to understand the report and use it to negotiate the best deal. Now, when the report comes to you, if you haven't received a home inspection report ever, or it's been years for you, you may not know exactly what to look for. Most inspectors will put a summary page or two in the front of the report, and those are the most important, um, let's say, items that he found when he did the home inspection or she did the home inspection. So you want to read that first, and it does take time to look through those reports if you've never seen a home inspection report before. So take a look at the summary, and then within the report will be very short pieces of information, usually accompanied by a picture. So your realtor will have it. We work together to look at that report. We find out your comfort level of moving forward. Sometimes you forgot what the inspector said. There's so much going on in this real estate purchase process. So we may actually kind of remind you, because I've done inspections so many times over the years. I'm familiar with a lot of what the inspector puts in those reports. So I'm happy to explain that a little bit further for you. So use your realtor or me as the expert as we move through that process. Once you get the report, it's time to figure out what are you going to ask the seller to repair or replace or address. And we actually have a document that helps us through that process here in Maryland. It's called the Property Inspection Notice. And we actually take the items that the home inspector included in the report as the most important items, and we'll include those as action items. So you may see something that says secure the handrail from the first to the second floor, or it might say fill in the crack on the sidewalk in the front of the home, fill in the crack in the sidewalk on the rear near the backyard. So there might be some electrical plugs that tripped when the home inspector did his check. They have a little device and they'll put them in the electrical outlets. They take a picture and they'll show that they're not working. So it's not as though you have to be the expert. You've used an expert. They've provided the report. And when we give the list of requested repairs to the seller, we also must give them this full report so that they're reading exactly what the inspector said. Now, when that seller receives the report and they receive the list, it actually goes to their agent, and their agent will discuss it with the seller and provide it to them. There might be some items on there that's not a big deal, or some items that are really pretty clear to them from the pictures, but sometimes there's a question. So the seller's agent may call me as the buyer's agent and ask a question, but oftentimes they're going to go right to the expert. They're going to go to that home inspector, which goes back to tip number 1. That's why you want to make sure that you have an experienced home inspector who is comfortable talking with the seller's agent and sometimes talking with the seller to explain what they found. So one of the questions I see here on Facebook, it says, how does the buyer know what must be completed and what is recommended to be completed? In most reports, and some inspectors use different terms, they're going to put those items in the summary, and it's also going to be reflected in the actual report. And they use different, I'll say, scales. Sometimes it'll say safety hazard. It'll say must be repaired. Sometimes it'll say recommended to be repaired. And then the third level might say routine maintenance. So unfortunately, there's no standardization in these reports that we get from Home Inspector. They all use different software and they all have different format for their report. But in the beginning, they're going to tell you what they mean by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what level of repair or how serious it is. And you're going to rely on that. Now, remember, they would have had a conversation with you when you started, before they started the inspection. They would have had a conversation with you after the home inspection was done. So when you get this report, it's not going to be the first time that you've seen the terminology that they're using to let you understand what's most important for the seller to address, what is a safety hazard that the seller would address. Things like electrical is safety, things like plumbing could be safety. We have, I'm going to say, probably on 50% of the home inspections that I've been involved in, there is almost always a toilet that has the loose wax ring around it. So when the inspector flushes the toilet, they will flush the toilet, they will run the dishwasher, they will turn on the oven, they will turn on all the burners on the stove, make sure they're working fine. They're going to run the washing machine. They're going to run the dryer. They're going to turn on that utility tub and make sure that the water is drained correctly. So they're going to do all of those types of things during the home inspection. And as a result of that, they will understand when they flush the toilet whether or not they begin to see some water come around the base of the toilet. So that could lead to water penetrating onto the floor. It could lead to water hitting up against the drywall behind the toilet. And that could be the beginning of moisture, which could lead to mold. So those are the types of things that the home inspector, they're looking for when they flush the toilet, when they run the shower, when they run these sinks, or how many ever sinks might be in the property. So one of the questions that I see coming in on another site is, how long might a home inspection take? It really depends on the size of the home. A townhouse that may have 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, that home inspection might take an hour and a half. A home that may have 4 or 5 bathrooms, a family room on the lower level with a wet bar and there's a refrigerator down there, those types of inspections could take 2 to 3 hours. One second, I'm going to mute while I cough. Thank you. So the home inspection could take anywhere from about an hour and a half to sometimes 3 hours. Something that wasn't in the highlights that we have here is when you do your traditional home inspection, which is structural and mechanical, a buyer may also choose to do a radon inspection. So radon is a colorless, odorless gas that can only be detected through testing. So you may choose to have a radon test. There's a very small little computer that's left in the lowest level of the home, which is usually the basement, and it must be there for 48 hours. Once it's there for 48 hours, the inspector, he comes back, he gets it, and they're able to then read the report that's generated, and it will let you know whether or not the radon level in the home is higher than the radon level that is outside of the home. So there's radon outside, but we just want to make sure that it is not above the EPA recommended level. And so that testing must be done. If there is radon in the property, then that is something that we discuss with the seller to address. Radon typically enters the home through the earth. And how does that come into the home? Usually through the sump pump. So that's why when the testing is done, that little device is usually put into the basement. Okay, so we just went over it, and I just want to review the 5 tips for home inspection. So number 1, hire a qualified inspector. Number 2, do your own pre-inspection with your eyes, be it by pictures or when you get to the property. 3, please be neighborly during your home inspection. You will be soon living with those same neighbors. Number 4, know what to expect and be at the inspection and be present. Don't be on a call. Don't be on a Zoom. Don't be checking your Facebook. Please be present. And number 5, understand the report and use it to negotiate the best deal. If you have any questions about home inspections and how they may work to your benefit, please feel free to reach out to me via Facebook. If you'd like to schedule a house call, a call in which we will discuss homeownership, understanding the steps and the expectations. My Calendly link is right here for you. I'll also drop it in the chat. Feel free to set up that 30-minute call and we can talk about where you are in your journey to homeownership, which is going to bring you closer to your journey of building wealth. I want to also let you know that we are here weekly on our Wealth+Wines Facebook Live every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Bring your glass of wine, whatever you might be drinking, and join us. I also want to just plug one more time the 1,000 Black Families Initiative I'm a part of. For some of you who know family or friends, or it might be yourself, and you're not quite ready to buy because you may have some credit challenges, we have an amazing team put together to help you move along through that process. So I have a link. Make sure to drop it so it's a live link and you can move forward and see if this might be a program that will be perfect for you. Also, along with 3 of my business colleagues, we're going to be having a Friendsgiving wine tasting coming up soon. And I want you guys to join it. I'll create it as an event on our Facebook page. So if you want to learn some more about different wines and join us on a virtual tasting as we head into November, we'd love to have you there. So I know this is going to be a little different November for a lot of us. But do what you can to get with some folks that'll continue to make you happy during the remainder of 2020. So thanks again. I appreciate you guys joining me live. If you caught me on a replay, please jot in the chat #replay so I can know that you came on afterwards. And if you have any questions, you can message me. You can put it directly here, whatever medium you might be seeing it, and I'll look forward to getting back to you soon. So continue to be well, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, and we will be back together next week. Take care. Bye-bye.